nearest dispensary and buy from there.
You are disproportionately excluding people of color who use marijuana or sold marijuana on the black market, while white people who did the same thing and were disproportionately not caught are able to participate in the legal market now.
And people struggling with what legalization might mean for them and their community.
I don't want to be in a position of promoting any drug or alcohol use.
It was dulling my brain, it was dulling my senses, it made it harder to sit still, it made it harder to focus. There was a whole part of my brain that I couldn't access. I was just giving up brain cells.
You can download our 25-minute podcast on legal weed right now to hear highlights from that show. And we'll be back right here on Radio 1 next weekend on Saturday with a full 1 hour on legal weed. Remember, we want you to be part of this show. Our question for you this week is, how has marijuana changed your life? Give us a call at 1-866-944-6669. Send us your audio via email to open@cbc.ca or hit us up on Twitter or on Facebook. cbc.ca/open is a place with all the details. Share your story with us. By the way, you can find me on Twitter too. My handle is @Pia, that is P-I-Y-A. Out in the Open is made by the wonderful producers Karen Chen, Daniel Guillemette, Debbie Pacheco, and Chris Trowbridge. Our digital producer is Olzi Sorokina. I'm Pia Chattopadhyay. Thank you so very much for lending us your ear here on Out in the Open.
This is CBC Radio 1, 99.1 FM in Toronto. There's no such thing as a sacred cow for Ed Rich. In his new novel, Today I Learned It Was You, Ed takes on social media, rights activists, and lilac lovers.
But no, I'm pollen sensitive, so can I say you can't plant those flowers there in your yard, Jack? Because you can't put a lilac tree up there. I'll be sneezing for most of July.
Ed Rich on the next chapter with Sheila Rogers this afternoon at 4:30 in Newfoundland. For St. John's writer Ed Rich, there's no such thing as a sacred cow. In his new novel, Today I Learned It Was You, he sends up social media, rights activists, and local politicians. Ed Rich on the next chapter with Sheila Rogers after the news.
This is CBC News. I'm Zatar Sirs. Justin Trudeau is pushing for Liberal delegates to vote for a new constitution for the governing party. The Prime Minister made his remarks supporting the change during his speech at the Liberals Policy Convention in Winnipeg. He says the proposed new constitution would bring the grassroots closer to the party leadership, but some delegates say that the new document would give more power to the party brass. The CBC's Aaron Wary has more on Trudeau's speech from Winnipeg.
I think it's interesting to see him trying to defend the constitutional changes that he's essentially been advocating for here in Winnipeg. He devoted a fair amount of his speech to that issue. It may seem a bit kind of inside baseball to a lot of Canadians, but it's an interesting part of I guess the story of how the Liberal Party has come back from where it was in 2011. Justin Trudeau likes to talk about how they reconnected with Canadians, and the argument he makes for the constitutional changes is essentially that this would make it easier to sort of open the party up. The argument against it is that there are some concerns that this may be concentrating power closer to the top of the party around the leader. It's an interesting sort of development in how this Liberal Party sees itself. It now talks about itself as a movement more often than it talks about itself as a party. And it'll be interesting to see sort of where that goes and exactly how it manifests itself, what it means for sort of how parties operate and how sort of a leader sells his policies and organizes around himself.
The CBC's Aaron Wary in Winnipeg. Meanwhile, the Conservative Party could decide today to acknowledge something that's been legal in Canada for more than a decade, same-sex marriage. A delegate said the party convention will vote on whether to drop the party's official stance that marriage is strictly between a man and a woman. The CBC's Catherine Cullen has more from Vancouver.
You had people on one side of the party, the people who were advocating for dropping that language, saying that marriage should be between a man and a woman. Those people saying, listen, the party needs to modernize. There were individuals who got up and said they were gay and that